Hi, welcome to the Mathemagic channel. Today we are covering simultaneous equations, more specifically with elimination. Let's go. So the best way that you can use this video is to first learn the technique which is shown in the video, after which you can download the worksheet. And once you're done downloading the worksheet, try the questions and see the solves in the video. Now, where can you find the worksheet? Well, we have included a link in the description below for our Google Drive, and you'll see the worksheet in the description. So what are simultaneous equations exactly? Well, put simply, it's the intersection of two straight lines. That's right, two linear equations which are intersecting, and they usually intersect at a point xy. And as you can see on the graph here, these two lines intersect at 0.5 and 2.5. So there's an x component and a y component. Usually, you'll be presented with equations like these. You'll have an x value times something plus a y value times a number, and that's equal to a numerical value. And then a second equation with similar x and y values. Now, the first thing you should do when you're faced with simultaneous equations is to label the first one and label the second one. Now, I would recommend you put little bubbles and little numbers around them. So label them number 1 and number 2. And the problem that we face when we have simultaneous equations is if you only had one equation with two unknowns, you actually wouldn't be able to solve it. So there's only one way that you can do this, which is to get rid of one of the variables. And in order to do that, you can use a technique called elimination, which is the one we're studying today, or substitution, which is another technique. Now, both of these will get you to a situation where there's only one variable, and then you can solve it. So looking at the technique, which is the elimination technique, what you need to do is to take this variable, which here's an example of a little guy, and we're going to have to unfortunately eliminate him. Now, don't be sad, because at the end of the question, we'll go ahead and find that variable again. So here's an example. Imagine you're presented with x plus 3y equals 26 and x minus 3y equals negative 22. The first thing you should do is label your equations 1 and 2. And notice that you have plus 3y and negative 3y. So if you were to add the top line to the bottom line, left-hand side and right-hand side, the plus 3y minus 3y would just go away and become 0. So adding the left and the right, we get x plus 3y minus 3y. And then on the right-hand side, we need to add as well, is equal to 26 minus 22. Now, as you do the work, x plus x is 2x, and that's equal to 26 minus 22, which is 4. And as you divide both sides by 2, you get 2. Now, if you were to plug x equal 2 in any of the equations, you'd get the final answer. So we're going to plug it in equation 1. Now, equation 1 is x plus 3y is 26. So change the x into a 2. And 2 plus 3y is equal to 26. Now you can move the 2 to the right-hand side. Plus becomes minus. So 3y equals 26 minus 2, which is 24. And now you can divide both sides by 3. So you'll get 24 divided by 3, and so your y value is going to be 8. Now this is where you finish the question, and so I would recommend that you present your work as squiggly brackets, x and y value equal 2 for the x value and 8 for the y value. This is a really good presentation, and I recommend you always follow that format. So here's a good time for you to pause the video, and if you haven't done this yet, please like and subscribe to the Mathemagic channel. We need your support so we can put more awesome math videos out for you. Go ahead and download the worksheet in the description and try the questions. Assuming you've done that, we can try and solve these questions together now. So there are 3 questions. The first question presented to you is 3x plus 4y equals 6 and 8x minus 4y equals 5. we label the equations 1 and 2 as we did before, and we notice the plus 4y and the negative 4y will really work out nicely if we add them together, because 4y plus negative 4y is 0, so then the y will be eliminated. So we can simply do line 1 plus line 2 here, and in doing so we get 8x's plus 3x's on the left hand side, the y's are gone, and on the right hand side we get 6 plus 5, which is 11. So on the left we have 11x, and that's equal to 6 plus 5, so 11x equals 11. And now you can divide both sides by 11 to get x equal 1. Now that you know the x value, you can plug that into the first line or the second line. So for the purpose of this video, we decided to plug it into the first line, so we'll get 3 times 1 plus 4y equals 6. Remember, it was 3x plus 4y equals 6, so we replaced the x by 1. So 3 plus 4y equals 6. We move the 3 to the right hand side. Positive becomes a negative. 4y equals 6 minus 3. And then 6 minus 3 is 3, so we can say 4y is equal to 3. And now you can divide both sides by 4. Y equals 3/4. Again, to present your solution, squiggly brackets, x and y values, numerical values 1 and 3/4, and you are done with this question and you're super happy because you got it right. So this is the first of our 3 questions. Let's move on to the next one. So for our next question here, probably a little bit trickier. We have 3 x's and 2 y's, which is equal to 7. And then we have x plus 3y, which is also equal to 7. And there's no common value for x or y that eliminates nicely. So we're going to have to use a little bit of trickery here. So thinking about it, if we multiplied the second line by 3, we will also have 3 x's, and then we'll be able to use our elimination technique. So let's leave the first line as it was, and multiplying the second line by 3, we get 3x plus 9y, you multiply everybody by 3, equal 21, because 7 times 3 is 21. So that is taking your second line and multiplying that by 3. And so now we can use the subtraction technique because we noticed that 3x minus 3x goes to 0. So we decided to do the second line minus the first line. Now there's a reason for that. If you do line 1 minus line 2, you'll get 2y minus 9y, which is negative 7y. But if you do line 2 minus line 1, you'll get positive 7y. So I would always encourage you to keep your variable positive. So we do that. 3x plus 9y minus 3x minus 2y equals 21 minus 7. The x's go away. We get 7y equals 14. And as we divide both sides by 7, we get y equals 14 over 7. And y is equal to 2. Taking the y value, y equals 2, we can plug that into one of our equations. So we've decided to put it in equation 2. So here's equation 2, x plus 3y equals 7. Remember, y is equal to 2. So we're going to put that instead of the y next to the 3. So x plus 3 times 2 equals 7. And so that gives us a little x plus 6, which is going to be equal to 7. And as we move the 6 to the other side, plus becomes minus. So we're going to get 7 minus 6 here. And we get an x value, which is quite nice, which is x equal 1. Okay, so we can write our little squiggly brackets and say xy is equal to 1, and the y value is going to be 2. So 1, 2. And again, very happy to find a nice solution like this. You can always plug these numbers back in to make sure your answer is correct. And moving on now to our third question, which is probably going to be the most challenging. We get 3x minus 2y is 5, 5x minus 3y is 8, and there is nothing in common for the first and the second line. So we're going to have to multiply the first line by something and the second line by something. Perhaps we can multiply the first line by 3 and the second line by 2, and then we'll have 6y's, negative 6y's on both lines. So let's try that. So 3 times line 1 gives us 9x's minus 6y's, which is 15. And if we were to multiply the second line by 2, we will get 10x's minus 6y's, which is 16. And now again, bearing in mind that we like to keep our variable positive, I would encourage you to do line 2 minus line 1 instead of line 1 minus line 2, so that you get 10x minus 9x instead of 9x minus 10x. So 10x minus 9x is going to be nicer because it'll be 1x. If you're to do 9 minus 10, you get negative 1. It's not a disaster, it just means that you have a negative value to deal with. So doing line 2 minus line 1, because it's a little bit better, we're going to do 10x minus 6y minus 9x plus 6y, and the y's are cancelling out, they're eliminated. And on the right hand side, we get 16 minus 15, which is 1. 10x minus 9x is x, and if we plug x equal 1 into the second equation, which was 5x minus 3y is 8. So 5 times 1 minus 3y is 8. Let's take that value over. 5 minus 3y is 8. Actually, here what we could do is move the negative 3y to the right to keep it positive and move the 8 to the left. So we get 5 minus 8 and then equals positive 3y, which is very nice. So 5 minus 8 is negative 3. Negative 3 is 3y. And dividing both sides by 3, negative 1 is equal to y. So we get x and y values here of 1 and negative 1. So we managed to do a slightly trickier question there. Very good if you managed to do this one. That is absolutely awesome. Okay, I guess that's all of our questions for today. Make sure you keep practicing because practice is really important. And as Mr. Anton Chekhov once said, knowledge is of no value unless you put it into practice. So remember to practice, practice, practice. And thank you so much for watching our video today. We shall see you on the next one on the Mathemagic channel. Practice your simultaneous equations. Bye-bye.